Welcome, 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 friends. So lovely to see you and to imagine seeing some of you. And thanks for being with us. I'm Peggy on Catawba land in Cornelius, North Carolina, with Larry. We're in the kitchen here. We don't have the best lighting, but we're happy to have had a place to stay for a week with Yvonne from Davidson College, a Buddhist chaplain there that took us in, and so grateful to be here. So tonight we're going to begin. Sister Chicken's going to come in later. Sister Kính Nghiêm got called into jury duty, which she was quite excited about. And we were kind of looking forward to having her tune in from jury duty, but that didn't get to happen. So she'll be with us later. And we're going to begin with a meditation, but first a new song that some of you may have seen that came out on Thay's birthday from the Plum Village band. So we invite you to enjoy. It's 8 minutes, and then we're going to have 4 minutes of silence as we begin. And again, just settle in, get comfortable.
About 20 years ago, 150 of us were invited with Thay to visit the Namwa Temple in southern China in the east, in the Guangdong province, to celebrate their 1,500-year anniversary. And I was near Thay as we entered the temple, and he turned to several of us, monastic and lay, and said, Wei Ning used to teach here, who was the sixth patriarch of the Zen tradition. And he also said, Master Impli Cloud taught here, study him. And so since that moment, I have made it part of my career to study and learn the Zen tradition and all of its gifts and ways of practice. I can never forget that moment, the energy of that experience, and the deep encouragement provided me in my Dharma career.
When I first met Thay, I was a angry peacemaker. And I didn't really see that in me until he spoke to us that way and said, you American peacemakers are all so angry. And I saw myself. And so I come here tonight, still a peacemaker, so happy that we could come together in this way to honor the spirit of a man, a being that lives in us. Thay was really clear to all of us. He said it many times that it didn't matter if you only read one book or saw one movie or never even met him in person, that you have received his transmission of continuation. So I really want to invite you to notice that in you, that living gift. When our team looked at offering this event this year, we decided we were too busy. And then at the end of our meeting, I said, can we revisit that? And every one of us said we had to, that this and our TET event were our favorite times of the year, because they help inspire us and help us to recall our bodhisattva vow that is deeply connected with Thich Nhat Hanh. So thank you for being here with us. We invite our good friend, Dharma teacher, brother, singer-songwriter Joe Reilly to come forward. And then after him, we'll talk about open space. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Peggy. Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Thay. Thank you, Sister Chung Kong. Thank you, all of our ancestors who are with us here tonight. Joe Reilly and Caillou bowing in from Wawatanong, Detroit. Anishinaabe Aki, land of the people of the Three Fires. And I want to share some Dharma songs with you, some songs from my heart, and also some stories about my interactions with Thay. The first time I went to Plum Village was, I believe, 2007 during the rains retreat in the winter. And the mud was thick, internally and externally. I remember on my boots there would just be like layers of mud. I think it was a good teaching metaphor. But it was, I went there with my guitar and my broken heart and my anxiety and suffering. And I was given a gift of recognition and support and love from the sangha. An encouragement to share my music and to share what was in my heart, to express it through the practice. Can you all hear me okay? Yeah, okay. This weird thing keeps popping up saying not hearing anything. Turn up volume.
You sound
Zoom,
great, Joe.
we love you, and you also confuse us sometimes. Okay. So the mud and the songs and the encouragement and the path was being illuminated by the sangha and by Thay. And I went out and did a walking meditation in the pine trees after talking with Phap Lai, one of the monastic siblings in the sangha, who encouraged me to not just write a song about the practice, but to express the practice through a song. And so this tree meditation came through me. Drinking tea, I see that the steam is in me. It is water in a river flowing endlessly. The true nature of its being is ecology. We are all one organism and together we breathe. Breathe in the out breath from the trees. Breathe out, exhale. The trees will breathe and realize all rivers flow to the sea. We enter our with the trees. When we breathe, they breathe. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. As I strum my guitar, I listen to its song. My perception of its being just may be wrong. But if I remember that I sing for fun, then I know my guitar contains the sun. It was growing in the forest, stretching out its leaves, helping us to practice as we breathe it. Breathe, breathe in the out breath from the trees. Breathe out, exhale. The trees will breathe and realize all rivers flow to the sea. We enter our with the trees. When we breathe, they breathe. Breathe in the out breath from the trees. Breathe out, exhale. The trees will breathe and realize all rivers flow to the sea. Open your eyes so the forest is what you see, and breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Harmony and understanding. Harmony and understanding. understanding harmony and understanding. Well, I could stand like a tree with my roots down deep and my branches wide open, so I could see the blue sky above and feel the love from the clouds and my friends that I'm singing of. Well, I've got a little garden growing in my heart, sown with seeds of poetry, music, and art, and I've been cultivating peace with my family. This garden is grown with the whole community. We breathe in the out-breath from the trees, breathe out, exhale. The trees will breathe and realize all rivers flow to the sea. We enter our with the trees when we breathe. They breathe, breathe in the out-breath from the trees, breathe out, exhale. The trees will breathe and realize all rivers flow to the sea. Open your eyes, though the forest is what you see, and breathe in with your whole self. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. This is a new day, right here and now. This is a new day, right here and now. This is a new day, right here and now. Drinking tea, I see that the steam is in me. It is water in a river flowing endlessly. Tree meditation. And so I returned to Plum Village for 3 winters in a row. It took me 3 years to do a full 90-day rains retreat. But I think 2 years after writing that song, I brought I made a CD with that song on it, an album called Touch the Earth. And I brought some with me back to Plum Village, and in those times Thay would eat some of the meals, usually lunch, I think, in the dining hall with everybody. This was in Upper Hamlet, and he would be kind of at a table in the front of the dining hall. And one day I worked up the courage somehow, some sangha courage, to approach him with my little CD, because I wanted to, give him that. And I bowed to him and gave it to him, and I remember he kind of looked at it, and then he just looked up at me and said, "Keep the practice." And it was just like, shoo, like a direct transmission to my heart to keep the practice. And this was not quite 20 years ago, but I was much younger then and younger in the practice, and it was such like concise but really, really helpful direction for my path, which continues to present a lot of various challenges of life. None of us are immune from that. And in fact, it's built into our humanity that we're going to have to grieve, and we're going to have to learn how to either deal with our suffering and practice the art of suffering as Thay suggested and taught to us, or we suffer more and we create more suffering. And so that little nugget to keep the practice really helped anchor not only my music, but my whole life and my whole path. And then, fast forward, I guess, I'm slow at doing math. Fast forward to 2021, and I had the opportunity to receive the transmission and the Dharma lamp. And that was through, many years of keeping the practice, just a small, humble practice. Keep coming back to myself, keep following my in-breath and my out-breath, even though sometimes I would feel like, oh, this is so simple, or like, isn't there more to it? But it always came back to that, it always comes back to that. Where is my breath? Where is my mind? Bring it back to the body. Bring it back to here, bring it back to right now. And learning to look at the many ways that I was doing the opposite. Had been conditioned to run from the suffering, numb the suffering out through consumption, through any number of different unwholesome means. And so really learning to retrain my mind, but also my body and behaviors. And I'm still on that path. I'm still practicing those things and learning as I go, but keeping the practice. So, 2021, preparing for the transmission of the lamp, we were asked to write an insight gatha to express our practice. And I got to write this gatha to express this practice that I had kept for those years, and still keep. And then Peggy, being one of my wonderful mentors, said, well, did you sing it? And I said, no, I didn't sing it. Of course I should sing it. And then it became a whole song with verses and everything. And then at the ceremony, it was at Deer Park, I said, can I sing it at the ceremony? And they said, oh yeah, that would be great. So I brought my guitar up and sang this gatha called Sea of Fire. And then that ended up being the at least to my knowledge, the last transmission of the lamp while Thay was still alive in his body on this earth. And I felt so fortunate in so many ways that I could offer that I had listened and kept the practice. And so grateful for it too, because it's a lighthouse through the fog. It's a clear path through the sea of fire. So if you'd like to sing along from the sea of fire and confusion, I invite the ancestral heart to sing and guide us back to love. From the sea of fire and confusion, I invite the ancestral heart to sing and guide us back to love. From the sea of fire and confusion, I invite the ancestral heart to sing and guide us back to love. Turns out the path has been here all along, in every breath, every step, and every song. Even when I feel I might be all wrong, you remind me that we all belong. Come on. From the sea of fire and confusion, I invite the ancestral heart to sing and guide us back to love. From the sea of fire and confusion, I invite the ancestral heart to sing and and guide us back to love. Deepening our roots, searching for the truth. Everything is changing, nothing's absolute. Love is all embracing, no need for substitutes. My mind's no longer racing with thoughts I can't compute. Reboot from the sea of fire and confusion. I invite the ancestral heart to sing and guide us back to love. From the sea of fire and confusion, I invite the ancestral heart to sing and guide us back to love. Peace is every step, peace is every breath, seeing beyond birth, seeing beyond death, opening our hearts so love can manifest, inviting all our relatives to grow our happiness. Yes, from the sea of fire and confusion, I invite the ancestral heart to sing and guide us back to love. From the sea of fire and confusion, I invite the ancestral heart to sing and guide us back to love. That's the Sea of Fire. That's going to be on the new album. Dear Thay, I'm still making albums. I'm still writing songs. I'm still practicing. And these things are for me. This is how the Dharma moves through this body and this consciousness. And yeah, so grateful. So grateful to have the practice and to have the many gifts that Thay has given us to guide us in this life through the sea of fire and confusion. And right now, as we all know, there's so many seas of fire. Peggy and Larry just survived one of the big storms that came through and the climate crisis that we're in, and the bombs that are being dropped in Lebanon and Gaza and around the world in different places, many of which were made or funded by our government. The fire of racial terror and injustice right here on Turtle Island that continues in so many ways. Of course, this election that we're approaching and the heightened fear and anxiety and toxicity that can create. So there's many seas of fire, but Thay reminds us to come back to the breath, come back to here and now. One Buddha is not enough, and we need to come back to our interbeing, that we are together, deeply connected, relatives, all of us. That first song that was played from the new Plum Village album, and the quote from Thay at the beginning about the wave reminded me of this song. It's a good one to sing along to. And let the waves rise, let the waves fall. Help me remember I'm part of it all. Not only the waves, but the whole sea. Help me remember I'm already free. Let the waves rise, let the waves fall. Help us remember we're part of it all. Not only the waves, but the whole sea. Help us remember we're already free. I used to be so afraid of Thay's death. I was worried about it because I know that he helped me so much, and how was I going to be okay? And what I have experienced since his transition is an even deeper connection to the love and the teachings and the Dharma that he shared, an even deeper connection to that interbeing and realizing that we are all part of Thay's continuation, and that the Dharma lives in us, and it's up to us to keep it strong and nourished, to share it in creative ways. Let the waves rise, let the waves fall. Help me remember I'm part of it all. Not only the waves, but the whole sea. Help me remember I'm already free. Let the waves rise, let the waves fall. Help us remember we're part of it all. Not only the waves, but the whole sea. Help us remember we're already free. Sometimes the summer reminds me of the fall. How death and loss are part of it all. Oh, teach me to let the leaves fall when it's time to let go of it all. Let the waves rise, let the waves fall. Help me remember I'm part of it all. Not only the waves, but the whole sea. Help me remember I'm already free. Let the waves rise, let the waves fall. Help us remember we're part of it all. Not only the waves, but the whole sea. Help us remember we're already free. Let the waves rise, let the waves fall. Help me remember I'm part of it all. Not only the waves, but the whole sea. Help me remember I'm already free. Let the waves rise, let the waves fall. Help us remember we're part of it all. Not only the waves, but the whole sea. Help us remember we're already free. So Thay invites us to transform the suffering, embracing it with mindfulness, like a parent embraces their crying child, allowing the energy of compassion to arise, noticing where that compassion is in your body, letting it expand out into other bodies, out into the cosmos, receiving the compassion from countless sangha siblings. Let the waves rise, let the waves fall. Help me remember I'm part of it all. Not only the waves, but the whole sea. Help me remember I'm already free. Let the waves rise, let the waves fall. Help us remember we're part of it all. Not only the waves, but the whole sea. Help us remember we're already free. Thanks for helping us remember each part of this sangha body, each part of Thay's continuation. I don't know how I'm doing on time. I've got more songs, but I don't want to hog the spotlight. Peggy, how are we doing?
Well, we'll see. We want to bring you back on to do a compilation with some of the chat room insights. It's not everybody's
Okay.
going to be to speak, but yeah, I don't know. Matt, is Sister Chicken here?
Our dear sister is here. She's
All right.
driving. We have a live.
Hello, everyone. I don't know, can you hear me?
We can hear you, but we
dear
can't see you.
Yes, I'm about to pull into a parking lot, and I can turn on my camera then.
Okay. Okay.
This is like total Dharma on the road. I know, first time for me.
Thank you so much, Joe.
Beautiful.
Really wonderful how deeply the teachings can go in with the vibration of your heart voice. So thank you so much. And hopefully Sister will get parked and we'll bring Joe back on. But we wanted to give a good amount of open space tonight. Oh, there she is.
Whoa.
Hi. So Sister, you
Hello.
just share a whatever you want to from your heart, a little story or little
Oh,
or
okay.
whatever. Yeah.
So, well, I honestly, I had a lot of fun today. Just Peggy mentioned earlier that I was in jury duty, and I was quite excited. I mean, not everybody likes to sit and do nothing, but I think that's part of my career of sitting and doing nothing. Um, but I have a Dharma talk that I'm going to give on Saturday for a group of young Vietnamese American, about 500 of them. And I was preparing for the Dharma talk in the jury hall, uh, just sitting there. And, I was preparing the talk on the Four Noble Truths and finding our Buddha nature in the courthouse. So I thought that was something very fun to share. I don't think Thai has ever done that before, go to court and give a Dharma talk. And although I did not give a Dharma talk, I was not assigned to a case. But what I noticed is that just being there, the presence there of just walking or sitting and writing down changed for me. Like, people don't see, the people who come to the Dharma talk or who listens to the teachings or who comes to the monastery are accustomed to the presence of monastics, but normally they don't see us in this setting. And it brought me a lot of thinking on, what would Thai have done? What would Thai have done in this case? I mean, he definitely has spoken to the House of Parliament and to Congress and even to law enforcement. And I think that would be along the same lines for us to continue. I mean, his legacy. And one of the things, like Peggy texted me last minute, do you think you can still make it? And I said, well, I'll be heading back to the monastery. Hopefully I can get there before traffic hits, but traffic was so horrible today. So I was just cruising along, listening to Joe Reilly live. It felt like a concert. And one of the things that kept on coming back to me was my most recent experience at the YMCA retreat. Thay has told us that he wanted it was his dream for Deer Park Monastery to host retreats there every year, or every other year when Thay was with us. He would have his tour one year, and next year would be the Deer Park tour. And we were not able to hold this request, or to honor this request from Thay, until 14 years later. And the majority of the monastics had never been to Colorado before. They've never experienced Thay in that space. They've never experienced traveling with Thay on tour. And so most of the organization landed on myself. And it was quite stressful, I have to say. It was quite stressful, where only possibly 10% of the monastic knew what was happening, what was going on, and the other 90s were just following along and trying to create what they think is Thay's retreat. The same kind of energy that we have at the retreat with Thay. And I remember myself, I was in total retreat organization mode. At the same time, I had like these snippets of, oh, I miss that. I miss Thay. And I remember the first walking meditation we had. It was quite beautiful, where we had two groups of walking meditation meet up in the green. And there was, of course, I hired a moose, an elk, to be on the green with us, and I rented the full moon for that event. And just seeing the two groups of walking meditation join together and sitting together on the green and on the grass field early in the morning to watch the sunrise, without saying anything and without taking pictures, because it was very beautiful. I mean, I had to stand behind and to take pictures, just for the record. And then to see the two rivers of people merge together to walk back to the meditation hall. I would have to say, if we were to hold two pictures parallel with each other, one that we took with Thay and one that was taken during this retreat, no one would have known, or you would not know that Thay was not there. I mean, in energy wise, that Thay was there. And it came to me as like, I felt so happy realizing Thay's dream. Not only, I don't think it was about organizing a retreat, but it was more about finding the true potential of the sangha, and trusting the sangha. I mean, of course, I live in the sangha, but sometimes I'm like, yeah, I even have doubt on myself. And I'm like, yeah, Thay, we're okay. We're not that great. But this retreat in particular helped me see that, wow, I get what Thay was trying to say. I get what Thay was trying to do in building community, and how it's not just one person that can take care of everything and one person that would lead everyone, but everyone, both monastic and lay, held that space together. We were about 440 people at the retreat, and including monastic with children. And we were just holding each other and carrying that energy of practice, to which the staff who were there 15 years ago with Thay still remembers, and they have missed the energy that we brought. So it gave me a lot more faith. I was a bit skeptical of Thay's vision in Sangha building. I was like, yeah, that's your ideal. That's your dream, Thay. It's not yet mine, because I live with these people, I know what they're like. But Thay saw beyond that, and regardless of our differences, regardless of our shortcomings, that he said, we still have this great potential to be the best that we can. And I think a lot of the brothers and sisters felt that. They felt that they were there with Thay, and they got to experience Thai's retreat at the YMCA. Earlier, Peggy had mentioned about, Thai being a fierce or an angry activist, a peace activist, and sometimes Thai can come out pretty strong. But I don't think his anger or his despair comes from ignorance, in a sense where there's full of hatred and heaviness. But sometimes it's just, how can you be like that? One time, one of our in terms of telling stories, but I don't know if you know, but Thai holds on to a lot of things, and it's not that he bear grudges, but he he's such a master at uh, the art of suffering that he can still be peaceful in that art. And he never stopped caring. Never stopped caring. He never stopped being active, even though you would only see him certain period of times or during the retreats in the year. I remember in 2009, his attendant, and dairy, and many things had happened around that time. But one of the things, no, it was in 2001. 2001, there were a few things that were happening at that time. First, we had 9/11 on our way to San Francisco to Kimsa Monastery. Thai's younger brother had passed away from cancer, and we had to evacuate from the monastery while we were having a monastic retreat because of the fires in the area. And at that time, Thai wasn't eating. He said he wanted to go on a fast as a gesture of peace and in hope and prayer for peace. So he was on a fast, but he didn't tell me to go on a fast. He said, Sister Kính Nghiêm, you are my attendant, and I need you to be ready all the time. You need to eat to make sure that you can help me. And one of the things that I remember when we were packing our things into the car, into the van for Thai, was Thai was lying on a hammock, and we were just waiting for the sangha to load the bus. And I was sitting and pushing him, swinging him on the hammock. And he was lying underneath the pine trees, and then of course the sky was filled with smoke and ash and red, and you can hear the helicopters and the planes, swish by really quick to drop water and anti-flammable agents to prevent further spread of the fire. And I remember just there, and Thai just said one thing, and he said, "This is very similar to the Vietnam War." And instantly I knew I had to go into mommy mode. Not that Thai had requested me to, but it's almost like to be that comfort for Thai also. And I knew that that night he would not be able to sleep. He still has these flashbacks of war, on top of just having, heard the news of what happened in New York and Boston. And even though he had just a few days of rest and moving, and we continued our retreat in the city, in a temple in the city, Thay never stopped thinking about what to do next. He never said, okay, I'm going to give up, I'm going to give in. Right immediately after that, we had to do a whole change of plans, not only because of our flights, all the planes were down, we couldn't travel as easily at that time, but we had to change of plans that he wanted everyone to get to New York. And this is when we went to the Riverside Church in New York City. And I remember that very clearly. Like, we had to get there, and so we had to take many different routes, detour all around. And when Thay and I finally arrived there, we arrived in a private jet. And even in all of this, Thay still had his sense of humor, because we were offered this ride to be able to get to New York from a lay friend. And because it's a private jet, there's no flight attendant. And there's no server, there's nothing. They just put a cheese platter on our table, and then you can see the pilot in the front. And Thay said, Sister Kính Nghiêm, now you're going to be my flight attendant. So he asked me to stand up in the aisle and to show them where the exit is and to fasten the seatbelt and all of that. And it was just for him to say, okay, now we're going to play a different role. Now we're going to play a different role. And when we arrived in New York, knowing him, knowing, and I knowing, and Sister Chang Kong and Brother Pham Niem knowing at that time what this trip meant and how I guess high profile event this was going to be, was Thay still had the opportunity and the time to take myself to Columbia University. And he did walking meditation with us. He led us through the streets of Columbia and into the little plaza. And he said, oh, this is where I had my first bank account. And Thay was excited because he had a bank account in the United States, And then he walked us down the aisle and he said, oh, that's where my apartment used to be. And this is the route that I used to walk. And even knowing that so many people around are suffering, he himself is suffering, and he can still remember those moments of joy and those moments of how much happiness he had when there was not any war, and use that as a source of nourishment and strength to hold space for the, I would say, almost 1,100 people that showed up. High tension space in the Riverside Church in New York.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things, the first time I've ever experienced that, where Thay had asked all of the monastics to wear our Sangati robes for a public talk. And we wore our ceremony robes as a prayer. We did their chant. And then at the same time, I had to sit in front of Thay. I've never sat in front of Thay before. So we were barricading around us, around Thay with our robes, and Thay was in his robes. And there were a lot of security and a lot of people, but so many people wanted to get in, but they couldn't. And it was all because Thay had, his book was published, his book on anger, Wisdom for Cooling the Flames, was published September 12th, the year 2001, right after 9/11. And so then those moments, I mean, I've had a lot more moments of being with Thay, a lot more joyful ones, but those kind of moments really inspired me to continue to do what I do, even though like it's this unseemingly type of place where I would go out to prepare a Dharma talk in the courthouse, or go into prison, or go into other places, and not think just only about my safety, but the safety of everyone included.
Okay.
And to put myself out there. And it's been very inspirational. And I think now it's going to be a new era of manifestations of Thay rather than just, you know, I think a lot of the monastics now, the younger monastics now that are ordaining in Deer Park in particular, have never met Thay. They've never heard Thay in real life. They've never heard his teachings or attended his retreats before. And so this is going to be like, how can we, you know, keep Thay's spirit? Thay's spirit, you know. And what is his spirit? What is Thay's spirit? You know, it's not a book. It's not a book. It's not a Dharma talk on YouTube. It has nothing to do with that. But I remember Thay said to me and the group of babies, you guys have to be the rebellious ones. You guys have to be the rebellion. And we're like, what? We're following everything Plum Village. We don't want to get in trouble. We're following everything Plum Village. And Thay had said simply just to the babies, like, you have to see the bigger picture. And Plum Village is not a place in France or in California, but it's the spirit. And then he concluded with, the rebels always gets it the hardest. And in a true spirit, I think Thay was a rebel. He never followed the norms or wanted security of any sort. If it's only for him, it doesn't matter. But it has to be security for the greater, the bigger people, not just for himself. Because it's so easy to follow. And so that's one of the things that I find inspiring me in these past couple of years, and how do we keep Thay's spirit alive.
Thank you, sister. Thank you so much. And that will lead off our open space, how we're keeping Thay's spirits alive, how we're being the continuation. So if you have something you want to offer, we encourage you to keep it kind of tight and lean if you can.
Hi, this is Annie bowing in. Dear Thay, dear Sangha, the first time I met Thay was at Omega. He was doing a retreat and in a huge tent. And of course it rained every time he did that. But I made sure I sat very close to him. I would come early, and I cried during the entire talk he gave. I felt like he knew everything about me, and he loved me unconditionally. And I would look around to see how other people were feeling, and they all looked like they felt the same way.
Thank you.
Annie bowing out.
Heather?
You're muted.
Heather bowing in. Today seemed like perfect timing for this celebration. I'm also remembering it's the 8th anniversary of the continuation of Wendy Walrus, who I know was touched deeply by Thay. I met her. She was my therapist for a while, and she introduced me to the sangha. And when I'd go in to meet with her, she would offer tea and breathe. And she kept talking about this Thay guy, and I had no idea who it was for a while. But what a blessing she's been. And I know that Larry and Peggy's work and presence meant so much to her when she was getting close to her passing. But when you were singing, I turned my video off because I was just like inspired to dance outside and feel the music and feel Wendy's presence. So thank you all so much for the joy.
Thanks, Heather. It's good seeing you. Anybody else? Some other reactions? Don't be shy. Don't be shy. Shy group, huh?
There's a hand.
There's
right here.
There's a hand. Where?
Doctor.
Oh, Dr. Pat. Can you see her, Matt?
Okay, thank you. I wanted to share a brief story of Thay. I was blessed with a 3-year-old child 37 years ago. So, of course, I got to be in the front of the line with Thay because he always treasured the children. And I did several things, retreats with him, etc. But we were going to the Vietnam War Memorial in DC. And of course, it was a silent walking, and I bowed to him and I said, Thay, I need to break the silence. And he bowed back to me. And I said, I'm a therapist, and I know there's going to be a war in the United States. I mean, in the Mideast. And I wanted you to know about it. And because a client of mine had told me this. So I bowed and he bowed. And then 2 weeks later, the war broke out. And he came back to DC and did a large talk. And he said something that he rarely said. He said, I'm so angry at the United States for doing this war. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. I put a little thing in the chat because I live on 2/3 of an acre with a stream and trees right next to Washington, D.C. And I would like this to be a retreat center someday. And I'm 81 years old, so I'm not going to last forever. And I woke up this morning and I thought I should become a nonprofit so I can start this whole ball rolling. Okay, I'm brief. Thank you so much.
Thank you, dear.
Hey, thank you,
Thank you.
Pat. Thank you, Pat.
Barbara?
Barbara Rose bowing in. So grateful to be here. So happy to be with Sangha. Dear Thay, dear Sangha. I have so many happy memories of being on retreat, present at the same time where Thay was. I never got to Plum Village, but some of my memories are so poignant and so gentle and loving. The very first retreat I went to was in Santa Barbara, and it was at the university, and we were in the, I don't know which hall it was maybe a gym, I don't know. But there was hanging from the ceiling a gas light that looked like the moon. And there was something about that because it would sway with just the interior, air drafts or whatever. And it was just so wonderful. And when he would speak in the evening for our Dharma talk, that moon just became a symbol to me of the light, the lightness, the glory, the far away and yet nearness of everything. And it meant a lot to me. And then the second one I want to share is being on the beach in Santa Barbara and watching all the walking meditators, 200, 300, 900, I don't know how many we were. We were a lot of people. And I'm sitting on the beach doing pebble meditation. And here comes this phalanx with Thay and the children coming toward me. And what do? Help. Do I run away? That doesn't seem right. Do I stay? That doesn't seem right. Ultimately, I just stayed put and I kept meditating, and the sea just parted around me. And everybody kept going in their walking meditation, and I kept going in my pebble meditation. Barbara Rose bowing out.
Thank you, Barbara. Linda?
Linda bowing in. Thank you for all of this. And years ago, it was 2009, I was wanting to be with Thay, and so I went to Deer Park. And I remember walking onto the property and seeing children and people smiling and people playing music and hearing a Dharma talk for children, and then they go skipping off for the monks and the nuns. And that was just so amazing. And I kept thinking to myself, this is it. This is what I am looking for in my life. And then years later, when I went back, they had "This is it" on the wall the same exact words that I thought, but it was just, and then the walking meditation up the mountain silently with the children holding Ty's hands, and he'd stop and pause and look off into the distance out into Escondido. So thank you very much for this today. Linda bowing up.
Thank you, Linda. Judy?
Yeah, so dear Thay, dear community, I would like to share a picture that I took of Thay. I was trying to figure out when it was in 1993. I don't know if it's the same one that Annie, the same retreat at Omega that Annie was on. And I can either try to hold it up or I can share it on the screen if you can give me screen sharing capability, whichever you want.
Yeah, let's start with you holding it up and see how that goes.
So here it is.
Yeah, that works great. Thank you. You can keep bringing it a little closer. And you can tilt it a little more down. There we go. And a little back now.
Okay, so this was a picture. I was very gutsy at the time. The kid with the mushroom head is my 9-year-old son at the time, who was turning 40. And I actually had this edited. I took it from the picture, had somebody edit it and photoshopped it a little to clear it up and get rid of some of the distractions. So yeah, Thay used to hug trees a lot, and we all hugged trees. And anyway, so I just wanted to share that. It was quite wonderful. Thank you,
Judy. And if anyone else wishes to share a short story or something that you've been inspired by Thay and hope to continue on in your life and your practice, please raise your hand, or you can put it in the chat as well. Christina?
Thank you, Sangha. This is my 55th birthday tonight, so I want to say thank you for this gift, because truly this is a gift for me. I was with the Plum Village fundraiser on Sunday, but after 3 hours, I missed seeing Peggy and Larry. And during the first meditation, like Matt, I believe our singer's name is Matt, I had a lot of grief and it came out. And then I started thinking about Peggy and Larry surviving Helene, and I crying and crying even more. And then a praying mantis jumped up onto my window screen. I'm on the 2nd floor. I don't really know how that happened, but it was pretty epic. And so basically I just want to spread my gratitude and claim that peace is every step, and continue with this practice. And thank you again so much for this offering.
Thank you, Christina. And that musician at the front was Joe Reilly, who actually
Joe Reilly.
Joe
Okay,
Reilly.
very good.
And our dear friend Joe actually has a new album coming out too, and he could use your support, and we'll talk more about that soon.
Thank you for this birthday gift. Thank you.
Yes, we did it just for you. I have a particular fondness for praying mantis. Anybody else before we can turn it back over to Joe? We got a dog that wants a walk. You might hear.
We do have a message in the chat from Sister Peace, who wanted to say, "I'm enjoying your sharings as I
she's
sit at
on
the
an airplane.
airport on my way back to Memphis. I'm so grateful for this joy of practice, love, and peace."
Okay. And I kind of promised some friends I wouldn't call on them, so I'm letting you be. Oh, there's a hand up. Can you see that, Matt?
Not yet.
It's I gotta get my glasses on. Stilia Brady. Yeah?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Can I tell also? So I went to the Santa Barbara retreat in 1997. So that was my very first moment of being part of the Plum Village tradition. And so it was a huge auditorium. I think there were 1,500 people at that retreat. It was at Santa Barbara University. So some of you probably were there. And so we sit down, everyone's waits for Thay. And when Thay came out, the very first words that he spoke, the very first moment that I'd ever heard Thich Nhat Hanh talk, he said, "God is a lesbian." Does anyone remember that? That was like so crazy. I was just like, who is this person? And I would say I am not gay, but I am very much someone who supports people who want to be whoever they want to be. And just for so that moment has never left me, because right at that time there was another extraordinarily prominent Buddhist leader who's, I won't mention the name at the moment because I don't want to be like gossipy, but he had declared that there was absolutely no homosexuality in any of his monasteries or nunneries, and that it wasn't, and it was quite forbidden in Buddhism, and that's why Thay said that, I think, because that other statement had just come out like the week before. And so it's sort of like the whole audience, this wave went across the whole audience, and everyone went, oh, because for that to be the very first words that he spoke was very powerful. And what it told me, he also said God, like he also, he acknowledged, a force in the universe that, we can call God, which was also extremely un-Buddhist, in some traditions. Yeah. And anyway, so that was just this wild moment. And it was so beautiful being on that campus of Santa Barbara. And it was a very interesting moment, because that was actually the moment where this Northern California, I was living in Northern California, now I'm in Australia, but that was the moment where some of the sanghas really got a lot of strength in Northern California, and we started Community of Mindful Living of Northern California after that retreat, and started to be more active in many ways. And it came out of that retreat. And I started a sangha right there and then with my friends who had come from Bolinas, just north of San Francisco. So there was a group of about 5 of us who came to that retreat, and that was really a beginning of a very powerful time in Northern California. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Cecilia. But I got to thank her, because thank you for helping me remember that. I totally remember that. Joe, let's bring Joe up and see if he wants to do something to help us close. I don't think I missed any hands, did I, Matt?
No,
Did I miss?
Peggy.
Okay, bring Joe up, because he's going to make some magic with the chat room. Please. There he is, making magic.
I was just looking at so Finn, who is a dear Sangha sibling here in Michigan, just shared the link of the article from that moment of Thay saying God is lesbian. So I'm looking forward to reading that, because I hadn't heard that quote before. So
Yeah, we were there. It was just so great. I thought, boy, am I in the right place?
I do remember Thay talking about God, and God is love, and that really felt inviting and inclusive to me, having been raised Catholic, to hear a Buddhist teacher talk about God. So I want to thank you all for having me. Thank you, Peggy and Larry, for having all of us, and thank you, dear Thay. And we want to invite you to share any little reflections you have in the chat, and that's going to become a little collective song. Also, if you have an instrument in your house, when your voice counts as one, or a percussion instrument, or guitar, or other stringed instrument, or a piano, go ahead and pick it up. Or if you need to dance, you can even keep your camera on and be brave. And thank you, Matt, for sharing the GoFundMe link in the chat. So I just launched that yesterday, and I'm raising money to finish this new album, which has The Sea of Fire and Let the Waves Rise and many other beautiful songs on it that come out of my practice with some really wonderful friends and colleagues. So please support if you can. Love to all of you, peace within, peace on earth. Love to all of you, peace within, peace on earth. Thank you for your beautiful offering. Thank you for the ways that you help us sing, dear Thay. Deep bow, how can I learn how to say thank you? Water your seeds of peace, grow deeper within us. Thank you. Water these seeds of peace, grow deeper within us. Deep peace, deep joy, deep peace, deep joy. Oh. This is it, just this, over and over again. This is it, thank you for the beautiful Dharma. We're healing our karma, an open heart, even when it's broken. Silence, no words are spoken. Mending these hearts, living through the pain and the space. Thank you, Peggy and Larry, for this, your gift, your spiritual embrace. Thay's continuation. Thank you for the sangha, unconditional love and acceptance to all, bringing us together. Even in spite of stormy weather, we're digging deep, remembering the ocean of grace. Dear Thay, root us in this place, this here, this now, somehow. Thank you for the walking, the healing, the non-talking, the singing, the healing, the feelings, the art of suffering. May we all never forget to nourish joy within ourselves. May we all forget to never, ever forget, to never forget, to stop, pause, put a pause on the earth. See beyond death, beyond birth. Keep up the practice, so much gratitude. Change our attitude to one of unconditional love. All this that we are made of. Thank you for reminding me that there can be joy and humor even with the suffering, grounded in sangha, dancing in the autumn leaves, letting go, hugging the trees with tide, let it flow. Rebirth, we let it grow. We got the organic fertilizer. Now that we've been practicing, we know we are wiser. I'll be savoring the celebration for a long time. In my mind, in my body, little tomato. Hello, I see you, light shining through, so much bigger than the Zoom room. Into the universe, we practice, we rehearse, cultivating compassion. Thay taught us in this gentle fashion. Even in our anger we can heal, bringing the energy of mindfulness to the field of love. I see you in the trees, every time the wind blows, and the leaves dancing in the breeze, smiling, healing, feeling love, love in action. Filled with gratitude. It's 8:33, Peggy's looking at me. She said it's time to stop singing about the trees, so I'm just gonna slow it down a little bit. I can tell. Let go and be free. Open heart. Open hearts. Open up our hearts. Let the spirit of Thay, let the spirit of love, let the lesbian God lead us home.
So everyone, hands up, all directions, extending the merit of the practice in all directions. Breathing into your continuation of Thay. What Thay told us 3 times was to do the Dharma our way. 3 times, that was his direct hit for Larry and I. So here we go. Extend the merit of our practice in all directions. Oh, Diana, I see I missed your hand. So letting this goodness go in all directions, extending the energies of peace, all directions. Really feeling Thay's smile.